The playoffs are underway. The Warriors and the Rockets play a game of 90s ball. OKC looks like an absolute Death Star. The Bucks, Pistons, and Lakers ended the regular season on fire. They get hosed down in Game 1. Should they make adjustments or stick with the plan? All that, and Hayes and Matt give you their biggest Game 1 overreactions. That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, he's our man of 1,000 podcasts. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Is defense back? We have actual defense? We have defense in the NBA. It's amazing. I haven't seen it in years. I haven't seen it in 15 years. It's amazing.
Just had to wait 6 months for it, Matt. That's all.
That's fine.
All right, tell your friends. The NBA defense is back. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's back. He's our Prince of Petty. It's Hayes. Hayes?
Best thing about watching playoff basketball is that I don't have to worry about my team being in it at all. I just get to sit back and enjoy basketball. So I love it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets getting into an absolute wrestling match. And the Warriors wrestled control of the series away from the Rockets in Houston. People clamoring for more defense, more physicality, more offensive variety. I think we got some of that with Warriors Rockets last night. Hayes, did you like that style of play? And can the Warriors win a series played like that, or will the younger Rockets eventually wear them down over 7 games?
I definitely enjoyed this game. I love the style of basketball. I think that the Warriors can stand up to this. Like last night, you got big contributions from Jimmy and Steph, of course. Pods hit some big shots. Moses Moody even hit a couple of big shots. I think if this game stays this place where both teams are kicking up the defensive intensity, it actually plays into the Warriors' hands because they have that second gear that they can go into offensively. The Rockets don't have that. The Rockets have a bunch of very talented young players, but Jalen Green is wildly inconsistent. And even though I had faith for the Rockets, and I still have faith that the Rockets can win this series, I think it is going to come down to how many good games can you get from Jalen Green. Last night was a bad Jalen Green game. The Rockets' offense looked completely discombobulated at times, and it really was just Alfred Sengun in the isolation and hoping that he can make something happen more times than not in that game. If that's how this series is going to go, it's going to play into the Golden State Warriors' hands.
Let me take you back to the 90s and 2000s where men were men and the soldiers were no limit. Back then, the ability for you to be able to get through in these type of series was based off of, can you make tough shots? Because it's going to be uncomfortable. You're not getting clean looks. You're not getting pull-up transition 35-foot threes. It had to be tough shot making. And the Warriors are much more adept at that than the Rockets. It showed up over and over and over again. The Rockets can make you uncomfortable, but they can't excel when things get uncomfortable. And that, to me, is the difference here.
Did it seem like at times the Rockets had two offenses? Like there was the Jalen Green ISO offense where nobody else was moving around, and then you had the Sengun offense that seemed a bit more designed, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of this just gets into I didn't comment on my doubts about Jalen Green, and longtime skeptic here on Locked On NBA, along with my former co-host David Ramel on Green. I didn't comment because it's like, look, maybe he's a 16 gamer. Maybe it just takes the playoffs to bring out the best in him, and then game 1 happened, and it was the opposite. And so I think you're right that some of the organized offense is maybe better, but they've had this problem all along where it's like Green and Sengun are not butter and toast. It's not peanut butter and jelly. I thought really what kind of changed was in that fourth quarter, they were able to make a run and almost pull back even because Amen Thompson was the guy who started taking over that quarter. Mm-hmm. We're just delaying the inevitable here, guys. Amen Thompson is going to be the guy. It's going to be the guy They got to make major rotation changes, I think, going into game 2.
All right, we're going to talk about some major game rotations in the next segment from a number of teams. I want to hear from Locked On Warriors host Matt Kolsky, who had a strong statement post-game.
Didn't play great. There were a lot of problems with tonight's game. Kylan mentioned the turnovers. You're not going to win a lot of NBA playoff games in 2025 with 95 points, but the Rockets are not in their class, and they do not have answers in the half court to deal with the Warriors' defense. And they just really don't have anybody. I mean, tonight was a very on-brand performance for a team that self-professes to be led emotionally by Dylan Brooks. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to tell you. That's what's going to happen when Dylan Brooks is your guy. He's an unserious basketball player, and ultimately, the Rockets were not a serious playoff team. It's a bummer that the Warriors didn't blow them out, because they really should have.
All right, that feels like a bit of an overreaction to game 1 of a 7-game series. But that's what game 1s are for. We have a lot of pent-up playoff energy, and we have to let it out somehow. And that's what I want to do right now, or at least give Matt and Hayes the opportunity to do some game 1 overreaction. Matt, we'll start with you. What's your first one? And then we'll see if Hayes wants to throw some cold water on that overreaction.
These were the worst coached game 1s of the last 15 years. We have to harken back to the days of Vinny Del Negro in order for us to find other series that were as badly coached in game 1 as this one. Doc Rivers just chucking out his starters and doubling down post game when clearly that was not the model that got them into the playoffs on a good streak. And then just like watching it happen, just sitting there and being like, well, I don't know what you're going to do. Get back on out there, Kyle Kuzma. Tuomas Salo. Got to play more Edie. We need more Edie versus the... No, wait. No, okay, now I'm going to try and match the Thunder's small ball. No, that's not way to go. Ty Lue. Like, it's 2016 again. I'll just go small and win, and everyone will call me a genius. Wait, no, that's not it. And then JJ Redick, who honestly got a little bit trucked in game 1 by Chris Finch. There were some absolute round 1 knockouts by the coaching mismatches in round 1, I thought, in game 1, Hayes.
I would love to throw some cold water on this one, but I agree in more cases than not. I will say, though, with the Memphis Grizzlies, it hurt that both Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, and Ja Morant all played like absolute locked-on appropriate cheeks is how they played in the first game of that series. It was bad. They were very, very bad. And so, I don't know what he could have done to really, the momentum left that game and the life almost left their bodies in that series. So maybe, hopefully, we see better player performance in that one, because I think some of these coaching performances, the coaches did as much as they could, but some of these players, they look completely unprepared. They didn't realize they were showing up for a playoff game that night. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. You look at Kyle Kuzma putting up the $22 trillion for Milwaukee. You look at Austin Reeves. If you go listen to Locked On Lakers, they really detailed how poor a performance he put up in game 1 for the Lakers. So obviously there was some coaching stuff, but there was also some players that were unprepared. I agree with you there, Hayes. All right, Hayes, what's your first game 1 overreaction?
This is a huge overreaction, but and I think Matt Moore said something along the lines of this. It may be time for the Memphis Grizzlies to look into trading Ja Morant. I just don't know if they're going to be able to put this thing together enough. I get it as one performance against a team that they are definitely huge underdogs against, but this team just does not have that edge that they had before all the Ja stuff started going on. That's completely done and gone with this team. It's the life is out of them. So that's a huge one. And then overall, I don't think we're going to get any upsets this first round. If anybody was hoping for upsets, I think that ship has already sailed here.
Not far enough, Hayes. Not far enough, because I've been battling with my fellow Grizzlies fans. No. Let's trade Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. Let's go that route, and we'll build around Ja and Zach Edey. And really just have Ja feeding Zach Edey in the post. That'll get it done, because he's the difference maker. And look at the plus minus and all this stuff. Oh, it wasn't his fault that the Thunder made him look completely unplayable. It's not the fact that it's 2025. We'll just play like it's 2002. Get out your no limit soldier jerseys. It's fine. Everything's going to be great. It's going to be terrific. Not far enough, Hayes. God, the Grizzlies are in a really bad spot, and I do not know what they're going to do. They got to trade one of Desmond Bane Ja Morant or Jaren Jackson. You can't build with 3 guys on those contracts in the modern CBA. And like one of those guys, and it just sucks because like they had so much good momentum and all the nonsense 2 years ago ruined it. And then we had this year with all the God, what a disaster. I'm sad.
All right. Let us know what your overreactions are to game 1 on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA in the comments. Coming up, the Lakers, they got outmuscled by the Wolves, the Bucks outrun by the Pacers, the Nuggets. They needed prime Westbrook to escape the Clippers' clutches. Should these teams stick to their plans for game 2 or switch it up? Find out next on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more and use the code WINGSTOP50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer valid noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms apply. Have you ever looked at your delivery fees and thought, there's got to be a better way? Well, with Dash Pass, you get $0 delivery fees and exclusive perks just like this one. So here's the play. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 or more in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 or more order and using code WINGSTOP50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team has a free and daily newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, subscribe, and stay up to date with the local expert analysis that you hear on this show. The playoffs are all about adjustments, but you also want to be careful not to overcorrect. So I have a few teams here, and I want to know, Matt Hayes, if you think they should stick to the plan or switch it up. Stick or switch. We're going to start with the Lakers, who despite getting 37 points from Luka Doncic, lost by 22 at home to the Timberwolves. Before we hear from Matt and Hayes, though, let's go to Locked On Wolves host Ben Beacon, who seemed particularly irked by post-game comments from Lakers coach J.J. Redick.
JJ Redick at the before the fourth quarter interview on ABC, and then also post game in his press conference, a couple of times brought up how he didn't think it was schematics that got the Lakers in this one, which is great because it's simultaneously it's not my fault, it's their fault, meaning his own players, and also like I didn't get out coached, right? Which I guess is kind of the same thing. I didn't get out coached. I don't think it was schematics. I mean, he's right. The Wolves played harder than the Lakers. We've already identified that. But schematically speaking, Chris Finch did outcoach JJ Redick, but it sure seemed like they were okay with leaving Naz Reid open. Didn't seem like a smart game plan. And I know they were okay with leaving Jaden McDaniels open, but probably not as open as he was. The Lakers did not switch. They don't like to switch in general. They still tried to avoid switching in this game. The Wolves took advantage of that. I mean, LA was just kind of behind the play too often.
All right, Hayes, what do you think after watching that game? Should the Lakers stick with their game plan or switch things up against the Wolves?
They need to change something defensively because when Naz Reid goes off on you like that, no slight to Naz Reid is all. We know he's a really good player in this league, but I definitely think something needs to change. You can't go into it expecting to do the same thing and getting different results. I know we're only one game into the series so far, but it's clear it didn't work out. Now, Austin Reeves, what's the chance that he's going to play that bad again? I get you want to play that, but I think defensively they have to change their scheme and not find some way to counteract the physicality of the Minnesota Timberwolves because they don't. This series is going to play right into the Wolves' hands.
I kind of think they don't need to change anything. And I know that seems crazy after they got trucked, but like, look, the Wolves shot 64% true shooting, second best of the weekend behind OKC. They generated good looks, which they're going to do because they shoot a lot of threes. Like their overall shot quality is going to be pretty high because of that. I think the question here, I really do think is like, do you and the Nuggets and Clippers series is going to be like this too? do you trust Jaden McDaniels to do this? Like, they gambled in game one. Like, no, like, we trust you. We don't think you can do this. We don't think you can beat us, Jaden McDaniels. And a lot of the playoffs is about picking that guy and being like, you're going to have to beat us. Now, Naz Reid, that one was just mistakes. That was just terrible basketball. But Jaden McDaniels, if he has a bad game and if he misses a few, confidence will start to go. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And the Clippers were banking on the same thing with Russell Westbrook. Now, I think Jaden's probably a better shooter than Russ. But on some level, I think you got to kind of stick with it. I do think JJ got out coached because his team wasn't prepared to play, and that's part of your job. That's part of your job, is making sure that they've got the necessary like intensity and effort. But I kind of agree with JJ on this. Like, the Lakers just didn't play very hard, and they got punched in the mouth for it. Like, wake up. You don't get to just because people like me have been saying you get to walk into the finals because you're the Lakers doesn't mean that that's how it's actually going to go. You got to do the thing, man. And they didn't. So we'll see how they respond in game two.
The Bucks also got punched in the mouth by the Pacers. They struggled to generate looks beyond Giannis bulldozing through the lane. They could get Damian Lillard back for game two, so that would switch things up. But beyond that, Matt, stick or switch Milwaukee Bucks in game two against the Pacers?
Switch everything. What are you doing, Doc? Like, what are you doing, man? You're killing me. Like, I went out here and was like, I believe in the Bucks. They're going to get it done over a Pacers team that I've like loved and have said are agents of chaos. Like, went out on the limb. And like, what was this? At some point, hold Kyle Kuzma responsible for being a black hole of horribleness. Like, at some point, recognize, and by the end of the game, it's like, oh, maybe I should play this bench unit. It's actually playing pretty well. I don't know if Brooks playable. I think he can be, but they're going to have to, like, they if Dame's out, they cannot roll back the same starting unit. They cannot roll back the same rotations. You can only have one big really on the floor, I think, at a time. And like, it's going to have to be very careful with what you put together. Kyle Kuzma's not a wing. He's a big. So he can play power forward if Giannis can play center, but that is it. And he needs to play as little as possible because his game is a trash can right now.
I mean, unless they plan on switching the head coach, I think that this is what's going to happen here. Like, this is Doc. This is the Doc Rivers experience. Like, listen, Matt knows the Doc Rivers experience better than anyone else, and he still picked the Milwaukee Bucks because he had faith. I have no faith in Doc. I know he's from Chicago. I should have a little bit of faith in Doc Rivers, but no, this is the Doc Rivers experience. This is why I did pick the Pacers in this series, because Doc Rivers, I hate to tell you guys, everybody on this panel knows that, but anybody listening, Doc Rivers is not a good coach. He's not a good coach.
Yeah, 4 of 6 from 3 for Miles Turner. Just felt like he was way too open. They were playing a lot of drop coverage and just leaving Miles Turner wide open. That to me was a big difference maker. So they've got some things to figure out. Let's move on to the Pistons, who were up 6 points with 9 to go in New York before a 24-5 run sank them. Cade Cunningham, only 1 field goal attempt during that run. Let's go to Kuka Hill of Locked On Pistons for the adjustment that he explored on today's podcast.
I think if there's any adjustment they can make offensively, they could try to run some off-ball actions for Cade to try to get OG Anunoby off of him to where he can go after mismatches like Jalen Brunson's doing in the half court. The trade-off with that is this. If you do that, you are then taking away what Cade does what Cade is really generating for this offense, which is open shots right now. Like, if you run those off-ball actions for him to score, you're setting him up to score. If you continue to run these pick and rolls and get 2 on the ball, every possession you're creating 4 on 3. You're giving yourself a man advantage. You're constantly putting the rest of the team in better situations and better positions. So, do the Pistons want to go away from that and try to set Cade up better to be a scorer, maybe? Or do they want to continue to test the Knicks and say, look, we don't believe you're going to continue to trap Cade every possession, but if you do, we're going to continue to make you pay for it.
All right, Hayes, what do you think? Stick or switch Detroit Pistons? And you can go Cade Cunningham here, who didn't shoot very well from the field. He did have 21 points. Or you could look at Karl Anthony Towns, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists on 71% from the field. And he was a huge part of that 21-0 run in the fourth quarter that helped key the win for the Knicks. What do you think? Stick or switch?
I think they could stick for right now. I think that I still trust this Detroit Pistons defense to be much better than what they were against the Knicks. I think Cade's going to be better as well. Like, this is still a young team that their best player hasn't gotten in the playoffs before. Like, he hasn't had this type of pressure on him, and especially being Madison Square Garden. I think that they're going to be okay. I think they got those first game jitters out of the way. Maybe I'm just overly optimistic for this Pistons teams, but I think the way Isaiah Stewart, the way that Jalen Duren have been so important to this Pistons defense, I think they're going to snap out of it. I think they'll be okay in the long run.
I've been baffled by the inexperience thing. Like, I think JB Bickerstaff in that fourth quarter, and that's rough by not breaking up that run well enough. But I will say, like, it wasn't jitters. They led most of this game. Like, they were up going into the fourth quarter. They handled the jitters, I thought, fine. The Pistons actually already switched this up, Doug, because one of the things that they did, OG was just eating Cade's lunch for most of this game. Like, I mean, just bullying him, throwing him up against the lockers and taking his lunch money. I mean, it was bad. What they did was they brought the screen out further. And so when they did that, when they brought the screen out further, higher up the court, that gave Cade more runway in order to get past him and get downhill versus Towns. That's going to be, I think, a lot of the adjustment here in game 2, which is going to force the help, and they'll get the shooters open. And now you have the Pistons offense as they need to, instead of trying to operate with guys that can't really create as secondary creators like Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. Just a simple move that screen up and make OG have to cover more space, I think, is going to be a big part of game 2.
All right, I've got one more. It's the Denver Nuggets. They get a win, the only OT game in game 1, but I want to save it for the other side. So coming up, we'll see stick or switch the Denver Nuggets against the Los Angeles Clippers for game 2. Plus, Oklahoma City, they don't need to do anything differently. They dominated. What's the threat level for OKC the rest of the way, according to Matt and Hayes and the NBA? They released their awards finalist, and there was a name missing from the Defensive Player of the Year conversation that is a bit of a surprise to me. We'll see if it's a surprise to Matt and Hayes. That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving in to player props, three-pointers, steals, assists. FanDuel has so many ways that you can bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine those live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com today and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. One final stick or switch, and it's an interesting one. It's the Denver Nuggets. They came back to protect home court against the Clippers in the only OT game of the weekend, but they were down by as many as 15, and the Clippers led for 40-plus minutes of this game. Matt, you are the local expert. We'll start with you. Stick or switch, Denver Nuggets?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, if you told me that the Nugget, like, this was going to be a grinded out defensive game, and that one team was the team that won was going to make the tough buckets on the inside and just really out-muscle the other one, I've been like, oh, so the Clippers won. Because the Nuggets haven't been tough all year, but like, they just were. Aaron Gordon, they had the audacity to put James Harden on Aaron Gordon, and Gordon bullied him to the rack for a dunk and then several offensive rebounds. I honestly, like, a lot of this is I think the Nuggets stick because they can play better offensively. I think MPJ is going to lose more minutes. There's other things that they can do to get Jokic going. Jokic had like a B- game. I think they stick here. I think the bigger thing is just like Ty Lue's got to re-examine a lot of stuff, man. Ty Lue galaxy brained himself into oblivion in that game and got out-coached by David Adelman over the last 3 quarters.
Do you agree with that, Hayes?
I do. And first of all, the fact that we can say almost 29-point triple-double, who's 1 rebound shy as a B- game from Jokic, just lets you know the gear that Jokic can still go into. So, yeah, I would say stick for the Denver Nuggets in this one. This was a really good game for them down the stretch. I love that Russ said after the game that he knew the inbounds play that they were going to run. That's why he was able to play free safety and do what needed to be done in how he made an impact for this team. But I think the Nuggets they're fine where they are. They need better performances in some areas. Yeah, the game was closer to going into overtime, but I think a lot of what they did is they can replicate in game 2.
And so I think 7 offensive rebounds by the Nuggets in the fourth quarter and overtime. I mean, the Clippers have to figure out a way. I mean, maybe there's some scheme issue there, but they've got to figure out a way to keep the Nuggets off the boards. It was huge. All right, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They nearly set a playoff margin of victory record with a 51-point drubbing of the Memphis Grizzlies. Was it thanks to one of the candidates for MVP, the other candidate, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Was it thanks to SGA's teammates proving they could shoot threes? Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder says, forget about all that.
All thanks to the Thunder's defense holding Memphis to 34% shooting from the floor, 17% shooting from 3, and 83% shooting from the free throw line while forcing 22 turnovers while winning the rebounding margin 54-43. The Thunder were dominant in the passing lanes. They were dominant on the glass. They were dominant with their closeouts. And that's all she wrote for Memphis to put up a brutal playoff performance where Marvin Bagley is their leading scorer. Maybe the Kings weren't wrong after all. Oklahoma City is the team that Nico Harrison should hold up whenever he talks about defense wins championships. Because if he's right, then start planning that parade in June.
Gas up the floats. Get the banner ready. He says this thing's over if OKC continues to play defense like that. What say you, Matt? Where's your OKC terror level right now? And did they make the biggest statement of the Game 1 wins over the weekend?
I'm not an OKC doubter. Like, I love this team. They're incredible. They have the best point differential in NBA history. They've built the team the right way. I want this team to win. I've just been around long enough to be like, be careful. You have a performance like that and everyone goes psycho. The Thunder are going to get gassed up as much as any team between now and Game 2. Now, I don't think Memphis can win a game in this series. I just think Memphis is broken. They fired their coach. You fire your coach over, in part, for a lot of reasons. Some good, some bad, including wanting to play a plotting center that is a rookie that doesn't belong on the court yet. And you're just like, you're probably going to get wiped out, right? Like, the Grizzlies are just not in a position. But whether it's this round and this is too easy for them or Game 2, there will come a point when the ease that this feels is going to catch them and they're going to get punched in the mouth. And how they respond to that, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. Now, one of the things here is just like, if you look at the path, though, like Clippers Nuggets, if Game 1 is any indication, and maybe the Clippers just like flip this thing and it's like, yeah, you took us to overtime when we led by 15, we're still better. Or maybe Denver just rips their heart out because their leaders are James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. But if this series goes long, like it looks like and most of us expect, I don't know that anybody's going to have enough to challenge OKC in the second round. But at some point, Hayes, this is not going to look so easy for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that's where we're going to find out about their championship medal.
Absolutely. You can't really judge too much off until you're really, really tested. And the test is going to come, I would hope so, at some point in this playoffs. But the Memphis Grizzlies just aren't the team to do it. Between changing their head coach, we've already talked about how they've lost their edge they've had 2-3 years ago or whatever it was at this point. Like, it's a team, like, this isn't the series where I say this is a huge test for how legitimate the OKC Thunder are. We already knew that they could beat teams by historic margins. Like, this is a ridiculous version of that, make no mistake about it. But we'll see what happens. I do think that the Nuggets or Clippers can test them a little bit. Like, it's going to progressively get more of a test for them into the Western Conference Finals, and then, of course, the finals if they make it there. But the tests are definitely coming.
I want to play one more clip from Rylan that I think will lead us into our final topic. Here's Rylan on not just the OKC defense, but who led that defensive effort.
Dort was excellent tonight, and he was excellent on both ends, but especially defensively, picking up Ja Morant 94 feet, making his life torturous in this game. His ability to navigate through screens and stick on and contest Ja Morant threes and Ja Morant in the mid-range. His ability on one play to literally touch the court, get back up, and block Ja Morant before the best athlete in this league, one of them at least, and Ja Morant, could even get a shot up at the rim. That's special stuff. That's best defender in the league stuff.
Award finalists were released over the weekend, and Lou Dort was not on the list as a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Evan Mobley, Draymond Green, and Dyson Daniels. That's your list. Hayes, surprised by that? Did you expect that?
Yes, I'm surprised by that because not only should he be on the list, he should probably win Defensive Player of the Year this year, like in my opinion. The fact that Lou Dort was left off this list, I don't know if that's a slight on him because of how good the team is defensively overall, the individual defenders that they do have out on the perimeter, but Lou Dort is absolutely an amazing defensive player, and he should be on this list. And I hate to say this, I don't know how, I'm not even trying to be petty in this one. He should be on this list before Draymond Green, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion.
Like, look at this list, okay, of these top three guys. It's, ooh, fancy box score. Look at all the steals. Woo! Draymond Green. Oh, the media. Oh, I read an article and Draymond said he was the best, and I saw a national TV game. And then like Evan Mobley, who I think legitimately belongs on here and has been excellent, is going to win this thing. Like, I'll just tell you, like there's a guy on Twitter, shout out, by the way, Crow's Fire, CROZE Fire, who does like tracks all the public votes. And Mobley's up 80-40 right now in total vote count over Draymond.
Wow.
And he's going to win. And that's great. I think Mobley's is deserving. But like the top three here should have been, honestly, if not for the 25-minute rule, it should have been Chris Dunn. But it should have been Mobley. It should have been Lou Dort. And then somebody else from OKC, probably J-Dub. Like, what are we doing here? They have the best defense that we've seen in years. And maybe since the 04 Pistons. And they don't have a finalist? What are we doing here? Getting sucked in to this Draymond Green media machine because of everyone's infatuation with the Golden State Warriors from the late 2010s run is gross. The NBA's got to do a better job of reshaping who's going to like focus in on DPOY. It takes more work than I think the voters have time for in order to get this right.
Any other issues with the finalists that came out? You wouldn't see anyone that doesn't belong or someone that should have been on?
Not really. I think like there's a couple I think that you can probably kind of point to. Like most improved being, I think it's cool that Zoo might win this thing. Like it looks like Zubac might actually win most improved player, which is going to be a huge upset. And that's really cool. It's the kind of thing that I would never think that he would win. 6 man, I think they nailed. It's Pritchard, it's Ty Jerome, it's Beasley, and Pritchard's going to win. Overall, clutch player is the one. Trae Young had a phenomenal year in clutch play. Think about like remember that the half court shot versus the Jazz? Trae was incredible. And instead it was Jalen Brunson, who missed like a month of the season and had basically one good clutch month. Jokic, who was great. And then Ant, who missed. There's like literally a compilation of all the missed clutch shots from Ant. He just took that many. So like clutch player continues to be a pretty dumb award that we don't know how to properly award.
Hayes, final thoughts.
I agree with most of this list for the most part. I think Defensive Player of the Year is the one that's the most egregious in a case like this. But everyone else, I could make a case for why those 3 players are all finalists on it. I think they nailed the MVP award. They nailed Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player. We'll see. It's probably going to be K. Like I said, that award at this point needs to kind of be reworded to the player on their rookie scale deal that had the best season, because that's the way that it seems like it's gone more times than not. But otherwise, I agree with most of this list.
All right, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Make sure to check out Locked On NBA Game Night for recaps of every game every night. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other, and we are going to see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.